You wake up tomorrow morning, and instead of that familiar voice in your head telling you all the reasons why today will be difficult, why you are not ready, why you do not have what it takes, you are going to do something revolutionary. You are going to change the conversation you have with yourself. And I promise you this, if you commit to talking to yourself differently for just 3 days, you will never want to go back to the old way again. Right now, this very moment, you have the most powerful tool in the universe at your disposal. It is not outside of you. It is not something you need to buy, earn, or wait for someone else to give you. It is the voice in your head, your inner dialogue. And it has been shaping your entire reality since the day you were born. Most people go through their entire lives never realizing that they are in complete control of this voice. They think thoughts just happen to them, like the weather. But I'm here to tell you something that will change everything. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. For the next 3 days, I want you to become the master of your inner world. I want you to take charge of that voice like a conductor takes charge of an orchestra. Because that voice, that constant internal narrator, is either your greatest ally or your worst enemy. There is no middle ground here. It is either working for you or against you, building you up or tearing you down, creating possibilities or creating limitations. Think about it for a moment. What has that voice been telling you lately? Has it been saying things like you are not smart enough for that promotion, or you'll never lose that weight, or who are you to think you can start your own business? Has it been reminding you of every mistake you have ever made, every rejection you have faced, every time you fell short? If so, you have been living with an enemy in your own head, and it is time for that to end. Here's what most people do not understand. That critical voice isn't really you. It is a collection of other people's opinions, society's limitations, past experiences, and fears that have taken up residence in your mind. It is like having a radio playing in the background that is tuned to a station that only plays depressing music. You wouldn't choose to listen to that station, would you? So why would you choose to listen to that voice starting tomorrow morning? When you wake up, I want you to immediately begin a new conversation with yourself. Before your feet hit the floor, before you check your phone, before you do anything else, I want you to say, today, I choose to be the person I was meant to be. Today, I choose to see possibilities where others see problems. Today, the universe does not distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. It only responds to the energy you put out. And that energy comes directly from your thoughts. When you consistently think thoughts of limitation, struggle, and inadequacy, you are literally programming your subconscious mind to create more of those experiences. But when you shift your internal dialogue to one of possibility, strength, and worthiness, I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, but what if I do not believe these positive things I'm saying to myself? What if it feels fake? Let me tell you something profound. You do not have to believe it at first. You just have to be willing to experiment with it. You didn't believe you could walk when you were a baby, but you kept trying anyway. You didn't believe you could read when you first saw words on a page, but you practiced anyway. Faith comes from action, not the other way around. On day 1 of this 3-day transformation, your job is simply to become aware of that voice. Every time you catch it saying something negative, limiting, or critical, I want you to pause and say, thank you for sharing, but I'm choosing a different thought. Then deliberately choose a thought that serves you better. If the voice says, I'm terrible at public speaking, you immediately respond with, I am learning and improving every time I speak. If it says, I never have enough money, you respond with, I am open to receiving abundance in many forms. This isn't about positive thinking, this is about accurate thinking. The truth is, you are capable of far more than you have been telling yourself. The truth is, you have survived 100% of your difficult days so far, which means you are pretty good at handling challenges. The truth is, you have unique gifts and talents that the world needs, and the only thing standing between you and expressing those gifts fully is the story you have been telling yourself about who you are and what you are capable of. By day 2, something interesting will start to happen. You'll begin to notice that the negative voice gets a little quieter, a little less convincing. It is like a bully that loses its power when you stop being afraid of it. You'll start to catch yourself in the middle of negative thoughts, and you'll find it easier to redirect them. You'll begin to feel a sense of empowerment that comes from realizing you truly are in control of your inner world. On day 2, I want you to take this practice deeper. I want you to start having conversations with yourself like you would with your best friend. If your best friend came to you feeling discouraged, would you tell them all the reasons they should give up? Would you remind them of all their past failures? Would you tell them they're not good enough? Of course not. You would encourage them. You would remind them of their strengths. You would help them see possibilities they couldn't see on their own. So why aren't you doing this for yourself? Why are you treating yourself worse than you would treat a stranger? This ends now. For the next 3 days, you are going to become your own best friend, your own champion, your own source of encouragement and support. When you wake up on day 2, instead of immediately jumping into all the things you have to do, all the problems you have to solve, all the stress you have to manage, you are going to take 5 minutes to have a loving conversation with yourself. You are going to say things like, "I'm proud of you for taking on this challenge. I believe in your ability to create positive change in your life. I trust that you will make good decisions today. I love you unconditionally, regardless of what happens today." This might feel strange at first. Our culture does not teach us to talk to ourselves with kindness and respect. We're taught that self-criticism is somehow more realistic or humble. But I want you to understand something. Self-criticism never created a single positive change in anyone's life. It never motivated anyone to reach higher or dig deeper. It only creates fear, resistance, and limitation. Self-compassion, on the other hand, is rocket fuel for transformation. When you treat yourself with kindness, when you speak to yourself with respect, when you approach your challenges with curiosity instead of criticism, you create an internal environment where growth and change can flourish. You become willing to take risks because you know you'll be kind to yourself if you fail. You become willing to dream bigger because you are not constantly tearing those dreams down. Here's something that will change everything for you. The relationship you have with yourself is the template for every other relationship in your life. If you are constantly critical and demanding with yourself, you'll attract people who treat you the same way. If you do not believe you are worthy of love and respect, you'll settle for relationships that reflect that belief. But when you start treating yourself like someone you love, when you start speaking to yourself like someone you respect, you raise the standard for how others can treat you. On day 3, you are going to take this practice to its highest level. You are going to start talking to yourself like you are talking to the most important person in your life. Because you are going to start recognizing that the conversation you have with yourself is the most important conversation you'll ever have. Because it is the only conversation that never ends. Every morning when you wake up, that voice is there. Every night when you go to sleep, that voice is there. In moments of challenge, in moments of triumph, in moments of uncertainty, in moments of joy, that voice is your constant companion. Shouldn't that voice be working for you instead of against you? Shouldn't that voice be lifting you up instead of tearing you down? On day 3, I want you to start speaking to yourself like you are speaking to someone with unlimited potential. Because you are. I want you to start reminding yourself of all the obstacles you have already overcome, all the growth you have already experienced, all the strength you have already demonstrated. Instead of focusing on what you lack, start celebrating what you have. Instead of emphasizing your weaknesses, start acknowledging your strengths. The voice in your head has been running automatic programs that were installed years ago, maybe decades ago. Some of these programs were installed by well-meaning parents who wanted to keep you safe but accidentally taught you to play small. Some were installed by teachers who didn't understand your unique way of learning. Some were installed by early relationships that didn't honor your worth. Some were installed by a society that profits from your insecurity and self-doubt. But here's the beautiful truth. You can rewrite these programs. You can uninstall the software that has been holding you back and install new software that supports your highest good. You can rewrite these programs. Change the default settings in your mind from limitation to possibility, from fear to trust, from criticism to compassion. This isn't just about feeling better about yourself, although you will. This isn't just about having more confidence, although you will. This is about fundamentally changing your relationship with reality itself. When you change the way you talk to yourself, you change the way you show up in the world. When you change the way you show up in the world, you change the way the world responds to you. People will start to see you differently because you are seeing yourself differently. Opportunities will start to appear because you are now open to them instead of focused on why they won't work. Solutions will become obvious because your mind is no longer cluttered with all the reasons why problems can't be solved. Let me share something with you that might sound mystical but is actually quite practical. Your thoughts are creative forces. Every thought you think is like a seed you plant in the garden of your subconscious mind. If you plant seeds of doubt, worry, and inadequacy, that is what grows in your life experience. But if you plant seeds of possibility, trust, and capability, that is what flourishes. Most people are unconscious gardeners. They plant whatever seeds happen to blow into their minds from the external world, the news, other people's opinions, past experiences, societal programming. They never take responsibility for what they're cultivating in their inner world, and then they wonder why their outer world isn't what they want it to be. But you are about to become a conscious gardener. You are about to take full responsibility for what you are cultivating in your mind. You are going to be very selective about what thoughts you water and what thoughts you weed out. You are going to tend to your inner garden with the same care and attention you would give to growing something precious. Because you are growing something precious, you are growing yourself. During these 3 days, pay attention to how your body responds to different types of self-talk. Notice that when you speak to yourself with criticism and harshness, your body tenses up, your energy drops, your breathing becomes shallow. Notice that when you speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement, your body relaxes, your energy lifts, your breathing deepens. Your body is giving you immediate feedback about whether your thoughts are serving you or harming you. Your cells are listening to every word you think. Your nervous system is responding to every internal conversation. Your immune system is strengthened or weakened by the quality of your self-talk. This isn't metaphysical theory, this is biological fact. When you consistently stress yourself out with negative self-talk, you are literally making yourself sick. When you consistently support yourself with positive self-talk, you are literally healing yourself. Here's a practice I want you to try on all 3 days. Every time you look in the mirror, instead of immediately focusing on what you do not like about your appearance, I want you to look in your own eyes and say, I see you. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for all you do to keep me healthy and strong. I'm sorry for all the times I've been critical of you. From now on, I'm going to treat you with the respect you deserve. This might feel incredibly awkward at first. Most of us were taught that loving ourselves is somehow selfish or narcissistic. But there's nothing selfish about treating yourself with basic human decency. There's nothing narcissistic about speaking to yourself with the same kindness you would show a good friend. In fact, it is impossible to truly love others if you do not first know how to love yourself. The person who is constantly self-critical does not inspire others, they drain them. The person who is constantly doubting themselves does not lift others up, they bring them down. But the person who has learned to be their own source of encouragement and support becomes a source of inspiration for everyone around them. During these 3 days, I also want you to start paying attention to the questions you ask yourself. Most people ask themselves terrible questions all day long. Why does this always happen to me? Why am I so stupid? Why can't I ever get it right? Why does not anyone appreciate me? These questions force your mind to focus on problems and create evidence for all the things that are wrong in your life. Instead, start asking yourself empowering questions. How can I grow from this experience? What can I learn from this situation? How can I use this challenge to become stronger? What opportunities might be hidden in this difficulty? How can I serve others while pursuing my own goals? What would love do in this situation? The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you consistently ask yourself. Poor questions create poor results. Powerful questions create powerful results. Your brain is like a search engine. It will always find answers to whatever you are asking it to search for. If you are asking it to search for evidence that you are not good enough, it will find that evidence. If you are asking it to search for opportunities and possibilities, on day 1, you are becoming aware of your self-talk and beginning to redirect it. On day 2, you are deepening this practice and treating yourself like your best friend. On day 3, you are going to master this skill and make it a permanent part of who you are. By day 3, you'll start to notice something miraculous happening. You'll realize that you actually enjoy spending time with yourself. You'll find that your own mind has become a place of support and encouragement rather than criticism and doubt. You'll discover that you have everything you need within yourself to handle whatever life brings your way. This is when you'll understand that you never needed anyone else's approval to feel good about yourself. You never needed external circumstances to be perfect in order to be happy. You never needed to wait for someday when everything would be different. You had the power all along to create a beautiful relationship with yourself, and from that foundation, to create a beautiful life. The 3 days is just the beginning. Once you experience what it is like to have your inner voice working for you instead of against you, you'll never want to go back to the old way. You'll have tasted what it is like to wake up each morning excited about what the day might bring instead of worried about what might go wrong. You'll have experienced what it is like to face challenges with confidence instead of fear, to pursue goals with enthusiasm instead of self-doubt. But remember, this is a practice, not a perfection. There will be times when you slip back into old patterns of negative self-talk. When this happens, Do not use it as evidence that this approach does not work or that you are somehow failing. Simply notice what's happening, be gentle with yourself about it, and redirect your thoughts back to a more supportive internal dialogue. Think of it like learning to play a musical instrument. When you first start, it sounds terrible, and it feels awkward and uncomfortable. But if you practice every day, eventually it becomes natural and beautiful. The same is true with positive self-talk. At first, it might feel forced or unnatural. But if you practice it consistently, it becomes your new normal. The most important thing to understand is that you have a choice in every moment. You can choose to be the voice of criticism or the voice of encouragement in your own head. You can choose to focus on what's wrong or what's possible. You can choose to replay past failures or envision future successes. You can choose to see obstacles or opportunities. The power is always in your hands. What I'm offering you is not just a technique for feeling better about yourself. What I'm offering you is a complete transformation of your relationship with life itself. When you learn to talk to yourself with love and respect, when you learn to be your own source of encouragement and support, when you learn to see yourself as someone worthy of all good things, your entire world changes. You start showing up differently in your relationships. You stop accepting treatment that does not honor your worth. You start setting boundaries that protect your energy and well-being. You stop trying to prove your value to others and start living from the knowing that you are already valuable. You start approaching your work differently. Instead of being motivated by fear of failure, you become motivated by excitement about what you might create. Instead of playing it safe to avoid criticism, you start taking calculated risks to reach your potential. Instead of waiting for permission from others, you start giving yourself permission to pursue your dreams. You start taking care of your body differently. Instead of punishing it for not being perfect, you start treating it with gratitude for all it does for you. Instead of using food to cope with negative emotions, you start addressing the source of those emotions. Instead of avoiding exercise because you hate how you look, you start moving your body because you love how it feels. You start handling money differently. Instead of operating from a mindset of scarcity and fear, you start operating from a mindset of abundance and possibility. Instead of believing you do not deserve financial success, you start believing that your success can serve others as well as yourself. Instead of avoiding financial responsibility, you start taking charge of your economic future. This 3-day practice is going to teach you something profound. You are already everything you need to be. You do not need to become someone different to be worthy of love, success, and happiness. You simply need to start treating yourself like someone who is already worthy of these things. The transformation does not happen because you fix what's wrong with you. The transformation happens because you start recognizing what's right with you. It happens because you start appreciating yourself instead of criticizing yourself. It happens because you start supporting yourself instead of sabotaging yourself. Every single person who has ever achieved anything meaningful in life has had to learn to believe in themselves before anyone else did. They had to learn to encourage themselves when no one else was encouraging them. They had to learn to see possibilities when everyone else saw problems. They had to learn to trust themselves when no one else trusted them. You have this same power. You have always had this power. You just forgot how to use it because you were taught to look outside yourself for validation, approval, and worth. But external validation is unreliable and temporary. The only reliable source of worth is the worth you give yourself. The only validation that creates lasting confidence is self-validation. For 3 days, you are going to remember who you really are underneath all the conditioning, all the programming, all the limiting beliefs. You are going to remember that you are a creative, intelligent, capable being with unlimited potential. You are going to remember that you were born worthy of love and success, and nothing that has happened since then has changed that fundamental truth. You are going to remember that every challenge you have faced has been an opportunity to develop strength. Every disappointment has been an opportunity to develop resilience. Every failure has been an opportunity to develop wisdom. Every rejection has been an opportunity to develop self-reliance. Nothing has been wasted. Everything has been preparing you for this moment when you finally decide to step into your power. The conversation you have with yourself in the next 3 days will set the tone for the rest of your life. Make it a conversation of possibility. Make it a conversation of encouragement. Make it a conversation of love. Make it a conversation that honors the magnificent being you truly are. Your life is waiting for you to show up as the person you were always meant to be. That person has always been there, just waiting for you to start speaking to them with the respect and love they deserve. The time is now. The power is yours. The choice is in your hands. Talk to yourself like this for just 3 days, and you will never be the same again. But let me tell you what's going to happen on day 4 and beyond, because this is where the real magic begins. On day 4, you are going to wake up and something will feel different. You won't be able to put your finger on it at first, but there will be a lightness in your spirit that was not there before. You'll catch yourself smiling for no particular reason. You'll notice that problems that seemed overwhelming just a few days ago now seem manageable, even interesting. This is because you have begun to rewire the neural pathways in your brain. Neuroscience has shown us that our brains are incredibly plastic, meaning they can form new connections and patterns at any age. For years, maybe decades, you have been strengthening the neural pathways associated with self-criticism, doubt, and limitation. Every time you had a negative thought about yourself, you were literally making those pathways stronger and more automatic. But in these 3 days, you have started building new pathways of self-compassion, possibility, and empowerment. At first, these new pathways are like small trails in the forest, barely visible and easy to lose. But with consistent practice, they become well-worn paths, then roads, then highways. Eventually, positive self-talk becomes as automatic as negative self-talk once was. Here's something fascinating that most people never realize. The voice in your head that you have been listening to all these years isn't even originally yours. It is a composite of your parents' voices, your teachers' voices, your peers' voices, society's voice, the media's voice. You have internalized all of these external voices and mistaken them for your own inner wisdom. But your true inner voice, the voice of your authentic self, is loving, encouraging, and wise. When you begin to distinguish between these false voices and your authentic voice, you stop taking direction from the committee of critics that has been running your life and start taking direction from the part of you that knows your true worth and potential. This authentic voice does not speak in harsh tones or use fear as motivation. It speaks with gentle strength and uses love as its guiding force. I want you to understand something profound about the nature of reality itself. What you call your life experience is actually your interpretation of events filtered through your beliefs about yourself and the world. Two people can experience the exact same event and have completely different interpretations based on their internal dialogue and belief systems. The person who talks to themselves with criticism and doubt will interpret challenging situations as evidence that they're not capable or that life is against them. The person who talks to themselves with encouragement and possibility will interpret the same challenging situations as opportunities for growth and evidence of their resilience. Neither interpretation is more true than the other from an objective standpoint, but one interpretation leads to empowerment and growth, while the other leads to limitation and stagnation. When you change your self-talk, you literally change your reality because you change how you interpret and respond to everything that happens to you. This is why some people seem to have all the luck while others seem to attract problems. It is not that the universe plays favorites. It is that some people have learned to talk to themselves in ways that open them up to opportunities and solutions, while others talk to themselves in ways that close them off to possibilities and keep them focused on problems. Your subconscious mind is like a faithful servant that works tirelessly to bring you whatever you consistently focus on and believe to be true about yourself. If you consistently tell yourself that you are unlucky, your subconscious will work to prove you right by causing you to notice and attract unfortunate circumstances. If you consistently tell yourself that you are blessed and that good things come to you easily, your subconscious will work to prove that right instead. This isn't wishful thinking or new age nonsense. This is how your attention and focus literally shape your experience of reality. You can only perceive and respond to things that are within your field of awareness, and your field of awareness is largely determined by what you believe to be true about yourself and your life. During these 3 days, you are not just changing your thoughts, you are upgrading your entire perceptual system. You are training yourself to notice opportunities instead of obstacles, to see possibilities instead of limitations, to recognize your strengths instead of fixating on your weaknesses. This shift in perception will continue to compound and expand long after the 3 days are over. Let me share with you one of the most important secrets of personal transformation. You do not change your life by forcing yourself to be different. You change your life by loving yourself into becoming who you really are. Force creates resistance, but love creates flow. Criticism creates contraction, but compassion creates expansion. When you approach yourself with harsh demands and unrealistic expectations, you create internal resistance that actually prevents change. Your psyche has built-in protective mechanisms that resist being bullied, even by yourself. But when you approach yourself with kindness and patience, when you acknowledge your humanity and honor your journey, you create an internal environment where change can happen naturally and sustainably. Think about how you learned to walk as a child. You didn't criticize yourself every time you fell down. You didn't tell yourself you were stupid or worthless when you stumbled. You simply got back up and tried again, with curiosity and determination. You were naturally kind to yourself during the learning process, and that is why you succeeded. Somehow, as adults, we've forgotten this natural approach to growth and change. We've learned to be harsh taskmasters with ourselves, thinking that criticism will motivate us to improve. But criticism never created sustainable positive change in anyone's life. It only creates shame, perceived resistance, and eventual burnout. The truth is, you are already perfect as you are, and you are also continuously growing and evolving. These aren't contradictory statements. They're both true simultaneously. You do not need to fix yourself because you are not broken. You do not need to earn your worth because you were born worthy. You do not need to prove your value because your value is inherent. At the same time, you are a creative being with unlimited potential for growth, learning, and contribution. You can continuously expand your abilities, deepen your understanding, and increase your positive impact on the world. But this growth comes from a place of love and possibility, not from a place of inadequacy and desperation. When you truly understand this paradox that you are perfect as you are and also continuously expanding, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of self-improvement motivated by self-rejection. Instead, you embark on a joyful journey of self-expression motivated by self-love. This is what these 3 days are really about. They're about coming home to yourself. They're about remembering who you were before the world told you who you should be. They're about reconnecting with the part of you that has always known your worth, your potential, and your purpose. Every great achievement in human history has come from someone who learned to believe in themselves despite external evidence to the contrary. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every work of art, every act of courage has come from someone who chose to listen to their inner voice of possibility rather than the external voices of limitation. You have this same capacity within you. You have ideas that only you can bring to life. You have gifts that only you can share. You have a unique perspective that only you can offer. But these gifts can only emerge when you create the right internal environment for them, an environment of self-respect, self-compassion, and self-trust. The 3 days are just the beginning of this journey. They're like learning the first few notes of a beautiful song. Once you hear the music, once you experience the harmony of living in alignment with your true self, you'll want to keep playing. You'll want to learn the whole song, and then you'll want to compose your own music. Your life is your masterpiece, and you are both the artist and the canvas. Every day, through your choices, your actions, and yes, your self-talk, you are creating this masterpiece. Make sure you are creating something beautiful, something that honors the magnificent being you truly are. The world needs you to succeed. It needs you to be happy, fulfilled, and living at your highest potential. It needs your unique gifts, your perspective, your contribution, but you can only give these gifts fully when you first give them to yourself. The gift of your own love, respect, and belief. So start now. Start today. Start with the very next thought you think about yourself. Make it a loving thought. Make it an encouraging thought. Make it a thought that honors your journey and celebrates your potential. Your future self is waiting for you to begin this conversation, and your future life is waiting to be born from this new way of being with yourself.